Today I'm speaking on the subject, altars versus altars. I know some of you have heard this before, but I tell you, you will hear it today in a different dimension. You have never heard it before. And I'm trusting God to drive it home. That is why yesterday I said something. I said, the things that I am teaching are my life. At first, I used to talk a lot about myself. And I realized that I'm not very diplomatic about it. So this time, I give examples and I paraphrase so that you don't laugh at me too much. But most of the things I teach and I talk about are my life. They are things that personally I have experienced, I have seen. Am I speaking to somebody? Yeah. Now, when we talk about deliverance, the reason why a lot of people don't like the subject of deliverance is because of the way it has been packaged. That's why we need more refined men of God like my type, so that they can really drive home this subject. Because the reason why many of you, when it comes to the issue of deliverance, you start running is because of the way it was packaged. I was in a church in Europe about 2-3 months ago, and a young lady asked me a question. And the lady said, why is it that in the deliverance ministry, you guys talk about the devil a lot? Why don't you glorify Jesus and talk about Jesus? And I said, well, it is not that we don't talk about Jesus, no. There are two ways of bathing. You can either decide to bath with a soap, and you can decide not to bath with a soap. It is still bathing. But when those two people pass by you, you will know the one who bathed with a soap and the one who didn't bath with a soap. Now, what it simply means is that the death of Jesus on the cross, you can either decide to appropriate the benefit of the cross and decide not to appropriate it and still be in the faith. What I'm trying to say is that you can be a child of God, speaking in tongues, a believer, and come to church and pray and dance your entire life away without appropriating the finished work of Jesus on the cross. And you can die very poor, even though you speak in tongues. But you can also decide that I will come to church and I will appropriate what Jesus did for me on the cross. Many of you, is the lack of understanding of what the subject of deliverance is all about. I am doing a PhD program with Hafushi Ministries. And most of you know Hafushi talks about new creation. I've read every book concerning new creation. So I was making a position on the subject of deliverance. And I was telling him that when it comes to the subject of deliverance, the reason why a lot of people feel that it's a subject that people must not touch, because it's like you are talking about Satan. No. You cannot confront what you are not aware of. And when it comes to the subject of deliverance, it is not about your title as a bishop, as an archbishop. Those things are irrelevant. Haven't you seen people who are men of God at the very zenith of their ministry have fallen? Haven't you seen people at the very zenith of their career have been reduced to nothing? Because they didn't have understanding. I was preaching in a church years ago. The pastor broke into tears. He said, if I had met you earlier. Because you see, in life, Satan only manipulates you in the area of ignorance. I tell people all the time, listen, one of the greatest tragedy of life is not death. One of the greatest tragedy of life is lack of knowledge. and ignorance. One day I was going somewhere when I was living in Abu Dhabi. I was looking for a place to get some items for our church in Accra. And I drove to a point and I stopped and I met an Arab man. Where I drove, the GPS that was giving me indicated that I had arrived, but there was no sign or nothing to show that I had arrived at the right place. So I asked the man, please, I am looking for so place. And you see, that is the many problem, or that is the problem of many of you. You have encountered men of God and people who you thought should show you the way, but they couldn't show you the way because they cannot give what they don't have. I come from a family background that the things I teach about are my life. I have seen the other side. I have seen what is called real power. Real power. It's not the ones you see on television, people are faking it. I'm talking about real power. Yeah, real power. Where they will bury somebody and the person will vanish. And the next minute, at the festival, you will see him hanging there, drinking cocoa. The one you just saw in front of you, buried, alive. So I don't teach theory. I don't come and tell you about something somebody said. I'm telling you my life. When I gave my life to Jesus, my father sat me down, midnight around 2 a.m., sat me down and said, are you serious about this thing you are talking about? Because you know where we are coming from. Because where we are coming from is two ways. You are either serious or you join the other side. So my dad knew about that. He sat me down and said, this thing you have chosen, you better be serious about it. Because you know where we are coming from. If you really are serious, then be serious. But you can't serve halfway. Because where I come from, if you serve halfway, they'll kill you. You are either serious or you are a joker. And when I asked the man, I said, please, can you show me the way? He said, Al-Bibi, you know how they talk Arabs. You want to go this way? Okay, this place. Go straight. You see some curve, move left. Then from left, go right. From right, then you see sign. There, Al-Bibi, there. I followed him because to me, he had more knowledge than me. That is his country. That's where he comes from. You see, that's the problem of many of you. When you see men of God in clerical suits and you see people exhibit a certain gift and talent, you think they know it. They don't know it. They don't have the answer. I met a man of God years ago and I was teaching about this. He said, I don't believe in this thing. This is not real. Oh, these things are not real. Until he got to the age of 45, still not married. The last time I met him, he said, this thing you're talking about is real. Oh. I'm 45, I'm still not married. He went back to his village, went to ask the mother, Mama, I'm a man of God. Things that are happening is not normal. And the mother began to tell him things. He said, why didn't you tell me all this while? He said, well, you are the man of God. I thought you should know. Ladies and gentlemen, I drove round. Then I got to the same point. And when I got there, I asked another person. And the person said, where you are standing, Habibi, look at the sign. You are here. But you need to just pass like this. Then the Holy Ghost ministered to me and said, you see, that is the mystery for many people. That's why many of you have become frustrated. When you hear of revival meetings like this, you don't want to go again because the people you thought should show you the way, they are not showing you the way. So everything is becoming repetitive. You have been moving from one revival to another revival without solution. Because to you, the people are telling you have the answer. And you go there, there is no answer after years. And you are wondering when. And that's the mystery for many people. That's the mystery for many people. Today, I'm going to teach you about altars. Listen, I know many of you have encountered things that even as you are coming, you have deprogrammed your mind and say, listen, let me just come and make Pastor happy. Whatever this man is, you just close so that we go home. But if you can disabuse your mind, I will help you. And by the time I leave here on Sunday and I finish with you, you will thank your pastor that I came to this church. I'm not joking. You will thank your pastor. Ladies and gentlemen, altars are real. When we talk about the subject of altars, they are real. They are real. Don't let anybody deceive you. What is an altar? An altar is a raised place where divinity comes into contact with humanity. That is what an altar represents. An altar is a place where divinity comes into contact with humanity. For instance, as I stand here, I'm standing on an altar. But you see, this thing here doesn't make the altar powerful. There is something that makes the altar so powerful. For instance, let me give you reasons why a church's altar is powerful. Number one, the lifestyle of the pastor. That is why you need to pray for your pastor. When a pastor is living right with God, his altar becomes very powerful. Because the pastor himself is an altar. For those of you who are not aware, when you bless a man of God himself is an altar. So when you bless him, you are actually putting an altar sacrifice based on his lifestyle. Number two, when the singers of the church are also living right. One of the most attacked areas of the church is the singers. That's why you have all sorts of things happening in the choir. And when they live right for God, the third is the prayer department. These are the three pillars of the church that makes an altar powerful. Because there is always an invisible voice that speaks on the altar. An altar is a place of slaughter. When you go to an abattoir where they slaughter meat, the only thing you see there is blood. Blood. So everything that comes on the altar dies on the altar. So anytime you come to church and you place an offering upon the altar, whatever you put on the altar dies on the altar. Because it's a sacrifice. It dies on the altar. Go to Genesis 4:4. Go to Genesis 4, verse 4. Let me show you something. It talks about two brothers, Cain and Abel. Now, and Abel also brought of the firstborn of his flock and of their fat, and the Lord respected Abel and his offering. In the verse 5, go to verse 5. But he did not respect Cain and his offering, and Cain was very angry, and his countenance fell. So the Lord said to Cain, why are you angry? And why has that countenance failed? Now go to the next one, 7, quickly. If you had done well, will it not be accepted? And if you do not do well, sin lieth at the door. Now, the long and short of the story is that eventually Cain went ahead to kill the brother Abel out of jealousy. I fear people who understand the principle of sacrifice. Do you know that most of the noises we make in the name of prayer, which is good, half of our prayers can be solved with a sacrifice. I fear people who know and understand what is called sacrifice. I fear them. A typical example was Hannah. The Bible said when Hannah prayed and prayed, nothing happened. The prophet was not moved until she negotiated with God and said, give me a son, I'll give you a prophet. A sacrifice was placed on the altar, and the Lord immediately spoke to the prophet and said, go tell her a year by this time. Ladies and gentlemen, fear people who understand the concept of sacrifice. When somebody has an issue against you, a case against you, sometimes he doesn't need to pray long prayers. All he needs is to bring his sacrifice and lay it at the altar and say, I bring this sister before you, God. And that is it. You are finished. Cain killed the brother. Go to the portion where the Lord came to the garden and asked, where is thy brother? Can you go there for me? Cain killed the brother, Abel. And he thought that, I'm done with my brother. I've killed him. Nobody will know. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. Blood does not die. Blood. There is no price that blood cannot pay for. There is no price. There is nothing that blood cannot be used to exchange. I'm telling you today, when you go to my family house, when you go to a true shrine, what gives authenticity and voice to every altar is the amount of blood that is sacrificed on the altar. Where there is no blood, that is why when you read the Bible, there are three things you will see. You will see altar. And when you see altar, you will see sacrifice. And when you see sacrifice, you see blood. And the Lord came in the cool of the day just to come and fellowship with Cain and Abel. And he started hearing voices. He said, Cain, where are you? Where are you? The blood of your brother speaketh vengeance against you. Some of you, you've never killed before. You have never done anything bad before. So the battles you are going through under normal circumstances, you shouldn't be going through because you don't owe anybody. You've not offended anybody. But you see, what you forget is that you come from a family. When the children of Israel, when they had opportunity and they were asked, should we release Jesus or Barabbas? They said, we don't want Jesus home. Kill him. Then they said, let his blood, listen to what they said. They said, let his blood be on our head and that of our children. And so some of you, you are going through a battle, not because you negotiated for it, but because you come from a family background. That's why in some families, nobody gets married. Some families are like that. They never get married. They are beautiful. I said it yesterday. When it's Coca-Cola, they have it. Bottleneck shake, they have it. English speaking, Queen's English, well-mannered, knows how to sit, sip coffee. But yet, no man is asking her, are you for sale, for hire, for rent, for lease? There is no style in this world that they have not given to their men. But the men only see them as objects to use them. I have known families where strange things happen in the family. Strange. Every year. That's why I wrote one of my books, The Dust of Yesterday. It was born out of a true story. I had to take the family through a family deliverance. And what was the story? There were 6 in the family. The firstborn dropped out of school just to be able to take care of the rest. And what was the firstborn doing? He was repairing motorcycle and bicycle. Dropped out of school so that his younger ones can go to school. The second-born went to school, completed. The third one never went to school. The rest were ladies. 4 girls, 2 boys. And the mystery about their life is that the first one, so poor, has nothing to offer. Haven't you seen people that you have met? They are men, and the only thing that describes them as men is what is between their legs. That's the only thing that describes them as men. That's why yesterday I said, if they call you for a funeral and they give you date, it means that they are telling you have not arrived. And in this life, until you arrive, your generation will never salute you. Until you arrive, nobody knows you. That is why I told you yesterday that don't be deceived when they tell you that life begins at 40. Life does not begin at 40. You can be 20 and still be blessed. Life begins when a man understands the mystery behind his misery, and he understands how to break his cage. Because until you break your cage, you cannot receive your wage. The Bible said the whole earth wait for the manifestations of the sons of God. I met a gentleman in Dubai years ago, and the guy was a Nigerian. He said, I have 2 masters. He's driving taxi. And this guy is talking, and you could sense that this guy is loaded here. He has brain, but brain has nothing to offer. He has brain, he has gone to school, but nothing to offer. Nothing to offer. I've seen families where strange death. You get to the age of 40, people die mysterious death. How did they come to see me? They heard me on radio. For those of you who are not aware, you can tell your families. I'm on about 7 radio stations back in Ghana. Sweet melody every day from Monday to Friday, talking about the subject of deliverance. When I started talking about deliverance in Ghana, some of the pastors, they fought me. Until some of them started divorcing. Then they realized that the things I was talking about was real. Because you cannot confront what you don't know. You can't fight what you are not aware. They heard me on radio and they came and they started narrating their story. In tears. The first one was so poor, has nothing to offer. And the guy, when he sat in front of me and the guy was talking, you could see that this guy, if only he had a helper. Haven't you got to a place where sometimes when I'm teaching about deliverance, I start crying. You know why? Because it's something I'm so passionate about. I have seen it in my own life. Where you know that all you need is a little push for you to get there, but there's no helper. Nobody is ready to listen to you. The guy, 45, 50, nothing. The younger one. You know how everybody will help one person in the family, thinking that if he gets there, all of us can get there. The guy finished with first class. First class. You see, let me tell you, life is not about first class, even though first class is good. I said yesterday, starting the journey is not relevant as arriving. I have seen people with first class, second degree, PhD, useless. They have nothing to offer. It is not how you start, it is how you arrive. You can have all the degrees of this world, But show me what you have achieved with all these degrees. Show me. That's why I said faith without evidence is not real. If you keep preaching to me and telling me that faith, God will do it. Oh, delay is not denial. Oh, one day God will do it. And I'm still confessing this thing for the past 2 decades. There's something is wrong somewhere. Because it is not the desire of God for you to be poor. No, that's not from God. It's not the desire of God for you to be begging. No, that's not God's desire for your life. No. The second month finished with first class. Has applied to jobs, applied, and all the time. You know how when you apply for a job, they don't even want to look at your face. Because the thing is not you. Something is fighting you. I met one gentleman who came to me after hearing me on television, heard me, ran to me, and this was his story. The father took care of, there were 2. One of the guy the father took care of was not his biological son. Adopted, picked him, trained him. They all went to the same school, but along the way, he dropped out and the guy continued. Then their father died. The guy became a politician, was doing very well. So apparently, if my father took care of you, obviously, and you're a politician, you should help me. Anytime he went to the office, the bodyguard and the policeman would drive this guy away. He would try to explain himself. He would try to call the brother. The call will be going through. He will not pick up. The day they lost the election, that day when he went to the office, the bodyguards allowed him. And when he saw the brother said, these 4 years, I've been looking for you everywhere. I call your number is switched off. I said, but me too, I've been calling you. Anytime I call, I say, I don't know this number. So why are you here? I want contract. I want you to help me. I said, now we've lost election. I don't know how I'm going to help you. Something is following you. And until you discover it, you cannot recover. Because it is in the discovery that you recover. The guy looked for a job. They kept turning him down. They kept turning. Some of them, they don't even want to look at his face. They don't. And sometimes when he's going for the interview, strange things will happen. He will leave very early in the house and he will come and stand at the junction and there's no car. He will start trekking to the interview with the intention that, okay, if I can't find a car, then let me just trek. Whilst he's trekking, some motorcycle or some car will just be passing, splash dirty water on him. So he has no choice than to return back home. And that has been his pattern. The last job he got, finally he got a job at an oil company. They came back home, they celebrated. They said, at last, one of us. You see, many of you think that coming to America will make you arrive. No. I have met people in London, Europe, and other places. They say, Pastor, when we sat in the plane and we're coming, they say, America, here I come. London, here I come. Until we arrive and realize that we have not even started the journey yet. Because you see, the things I talk about, it is not how far you are. No. Until you deal with the source, where the problem is coming from. You can go to America, you can go to the moon. Whatever is following you in Africa will follow you here. That is how one guy struggled, went through Morocco, Libya, struggled and stowed, then got to Europe. And he said, finally, I have gotten here. I can change the destiny of my family. One night, one of his friends said, can we go for window shopping? Let's go and watch around. The day they went for window shopping, armed robbers entered the place. The very day, for months, he wasn't going out because he wanted to make sure that the coast is clear and everything, so that he can do his documentation. And then the friend said, let's just go and see. No, I don't think police will stop you. Then when they entered the mall, that day, thieves entered there. So the police raided the place. Now they were checking papers. And they realized the guy didn't have paper. They deported him. This one happened in Dubai under my own watch. It's not that they told me. The guy came to see me and said, I needed help. My visa and my card has expired. So that day on Sunday, I raised money. I raised almost about $2,000 and I gave it to him to go and do his papers. So he did his paper. He was in the process of doing it. And you see in Dubai, how they do their papers is that somebody will help you get a job. Then the job will now give you the paper. So he saw somebody who said he was going to help him do security guard. So he sent about 1,500 to the person. And the person absconded with the money. So on his own, no, nobody advised him. On his own, he picked phone, called police, and said, police, and this so person has absconded with my money. This guy is a Nigerian. Maybe he's even watching me. The police said, oh, no worry. Come to the police station. Let's see how we can solve this problem. When he got to the police, they arrested him, bundled him into a prison, and later deported him. This guy got a job, and the family was excited. They jubilated, celebrated. They said, one of us has succeeded. You know the mystery about life? When they are doing funeral, when some of you, your cousins and your nieces are in Ghana, they are celebrating. My auntie is in abroad. They should come and see. Some of you, they are celebrating you back home. My sister is in abroad. They think, for them there, they think you have arrived though. That's why when they are doing their obituary, they put your name there as elder of ceremony. To them, you have arrived because you are in America. The land of dream. Yeah. They should come and check your bank account. And check your mortgage. They will wish they are not even in your shoes. They should check your credit card balance. And how you can't even pay your credit card. They will know that you have not yet arrived though. And so, there are many of us who are living a fake life. Many people. I invited a man of God like that. He was ranting, carrying himself. So one day, he came back and I put him in of my house. He thought it was a hotel. Then, as we're going, he said, that place is one for your church member. I said, no. Are you sure, man of God? I said, oh. He said, the church building. These people in your church, I don't think they have money. So how are you building the church? I said, God is building it. You know how some people package themselves? You think they have arrived, but they have not yet arrived though. It's all packaging. It's fake life. How people stand at a place, they take pictures. They take pictures. I'm living the life, but they have nothing. It's what, you see, because of the deliverance I talk about, it has given me discretion. Until you get closer to me, you will never know me. I'm telling you. You will never. Because my nature, I'm very simple by nature. Very, very simple. If I come to your house, you tell me, sit here, I can sit here 24 hours. You tell me, sleep here, I will sleep there for 24 hours. That was why Jabez prayed a prayer. And Jabez got to a point in his life. And Jabez said, Lord, bless me indeed. Because you see, I am a representation of what people think that I am. But I am not it. They look at me and they look at my stature. They look at my representation. They think by now I should arrive. And when they come to me, I have nothing to offer them. Do you know the tragedy of life? When people see you in a certain pedestal and they come to you and they say, give me $200 and you can't. They look at your stature, they think you can offer $1,000. But when they come to you, you can't even give them $100. Then there's a big problem. It means that is how they see you. But the enemy has repackaged your life. And so Jabez got to a point and said, Lord, I am tired of living a fake life and making people think that I have. No, something about my life must change. Lord, bless me indeed. Bless me indeed. That the way people see me must be a true reflection of how really they see me. There are people who look like they have happened. They look as if they have happened, but they have not yet happened. This guy dressed up Monday morning, was going to the work. When he got to the same work that was an oil company, the work was changed to a fashion designer company. So he got there. He goes, I came to this. He said, no. The manager said, I don't know you. He went in front of the manager and said, no, this is a fashion designing company. So how did he turn to an oil company that you came here? They bundled him, threw him out. That was it. The guy entered depression. He started not to look for a job again. The third one, there is 3 other girls. One of them died mysteriously. There was a cock crow, a strange crow at midnight. It started with the aunties and uncle. When anytime they heard that crow, somebody would die the following morning. Until one of their sisters died, then they saw that the thing was serious. The 4th sister, who had gotten to the place of marriage, and the girls, the other girls, people would toast them, promise them marriage, and promise them fame, disappoint them. And that was the story of their life. You're a young lady here. Your mother is divorced. Your father is divorced. You've started dating at the age of 20. Already, 3 guys have left you. It's a concern of worry. Finally, the 4th one got somebody who was ready to settle down with him, with her. The family, you know, in Africa, when we are getting married, the traditional marriage, the women's side, they would take it. So they had ordered for drinks. It's supposed to be a day of joy, happiness. They waited, though, since morning. They waited. The family of the man never showed up. Until they ate the food, drank the drinks, and shared it. It was at that point that they started looking for me. They said, we need to see this man to help us. Me, I'm a mystery to my own father. I'm telling you, I'm a mystery to him. The first time I bought my first car was a 4x4. I met my father on the street, gave him a lift. My father is into grassroots politics. When he sat into my car, he never dreamed that one day his son would even buy a 4x4. When he sat in the car, guess what? My father kept saluting me. Oh, hello, sir. Are you part of the NDC people? It seems I've never met you at any of our congress. I was laughing in my head. Oh, sir, I'm privileged to sit in your car, sir. How can I serve you, sir? We are the ones who are doing the politics. We are the grassroots people. And I didn't even imagine you can even recognize me. Oh, I'm really honored, sir. As I was listening to my father, tears started dropping from my eyes. And I said, I am your son. My father looked at me with awe and shock. So, is this your car? I said, yes. Till today, my father doesn't know how I finished university. That's why I said, I am a mystery to him myself. I'm a mystery to my father. Altars are real. Don't let anybody. Altars, they are real. They are very real. Until the altar is destroyed, the pattern cannot stop or cannot cease. Go to Leviticus 17 verse 11. Leviticus 17 verse 11. Now, let me end the story. Today, all of them, they are doing well. The second one, after deliverance, family deliverance, back and forth, is now abroad, doing very well. Listen, many of you are fighting battles from your background. And you see, in life, whatever you don't confront has the propensity to fight you on a higher plane. You see, the problem about many young people is that they don't ask questions. They see the problem, but they don't ask relevant questions. Young folks, listen to me. If your father and mother is alive, ask them questions. Ask them, Mama, why are you single? Be bold. Ask them. Tell me. Because I see you as a good woman. Why are you single? Why are the things the way they are? In some families, they commit suicide. They just commit suicide right now. They enter into depression. One thing, you realize they just commit suicide and kill themselves. There are people who start a project, they will never finish the project. They will start the project, they will never finish. There's nothing that they start that they finish. They start a school, they can't finish. They start building, they can't finish. They start something, they can't finish. All the time, halfway. Ask your parents questions. Because I said it last night. I said, whatever fought your mother, when a child fails to discover what stopped the parents, whatever stopped the parents will stop him. Some of you, I don't need to be a prophet to prophesy to you. I don't need to be a prophet. If I can look at your mother, I can tell you a little about you and your future and where you are going. If I see your father, I don't need to be a prophet. If I know where your father is currently, I can tell you a little about you. Because the thing is about blood. Somebody say blood. Yeah. The Lord came to Cain and said, the blood of your brother is speaking for vengeance. Some of you are looking at me here. If you ask questions, you'll be shocked at things some of your ancestry did. In the early years of my life, I was struggling. We were so poor. We were so poor. One day, I was chasing a certain rat in our room. I was shocked how the rat behaved. The rat stopped and said, Chia, what is in this house that you're chasing me like that? Then I got to know that our level of poverty is iPhone Pro Max 14. That was when I realized that this thing, Charlie, I needed to do something about it. We're so poor, very poor. Because the thing is about blood. There are certain families, you can't count 10 successful people. You can't count 10 successful people. Do you know that there are people who, their names alone, if you come from that family, the name alone can open doors for you, can give you opportunity. You, who is in your family that today, if you are looking for a work in the Ministry of Finance, you are looking for that the name alone, they will just write, kindly assist. Your grandfather is a nobody. Your father is a nobody. Your great-grandfather is a nobody. Nobody knows them. That is why you have to be serious, so that in your time, they didn't know them, but they will know you. Oh, I just prophesied to somebody here. I said they didn't know them, but they will know you. Somebody saw them and said, I am the one you are talking to. Blood. Blood. And sometimes you may think that, oh, in my family, they are like that, but me, minus me, you lie. If you don't deal with it, it's only a matter of time. Because history has a way of repeating itself on a higher plane. You see, the problem about many of you is that you don't ask questions. And so you keep repeating history. Whatever you are confronted with, somebody went through it. And what you need to do is to ask questions so that you don't get there. Because many of us, we have been given the allowance of life. And when you get there, the thing will stop you until you have discovered. because the thing is blood. The Bible said, for the life of the flesh is in the blood. The life of the flesh is in what? The blood. Do you know what it means? It means that blood doesn't die. That's why I said in the beginning that there is no price that blood cannot pay for. When I discovered this, do you know one the first things I did? I sold my 4x4. I gave it to the church. I went to church with a brand new car, came back home walking, because I realized that my money can help me. This thing, I have to do a higher sacrifice. When I started our church in Ghana, single-handedly building it, a cathedral, the Lord said to me, he said, do it. Because one day I was in Abu Dhabi, entering into a 21 days estate fast, and the Lord opened my eyes. I traveled by the speed of light into 13 generations. And each of the generations I saw in the dream, I was fasting, trusting God to change certain things in my life. Things that I've seen as a pattern. Because in my family, if I start telling you the things in my family, oh. One day I went to a funeral. When I got to the funeral, and my cousins were coming to greet me, this one carried a certificate of 2. Follow him, follow her. I asked, oh, how are you? Who are these children? Oh, don't worry. This one is one man who is living in Cote d'Ivoire. I met him here. We gave birth. This one, the father is in Gabon. Then you interview this one. This one, I'm with the father, but the father we've divorced. And the guys were broke, nothing to write home about. And I was telling God that this thing must change with me. The first day I took my first daughter to our family house, when we came out, she cried till we got to our house. I said, Daddy, is that where you are coming from? I said, yes. That is why I think, since then, my daughter's perception about ministry, if you should see my children, even at the age of 5, during prayer time and they are praying, you'll be shocked. Because they know where they are coming from. My first daughter, she wept till we got to the house. She was shocked. She said, Daddy, is that where you lived? I said, yes. That is why I said there is nothing that blood cannot pay for. 13th generation, I started traveling and I saw sacrifices that they did. When I woke up, I said, hey, no wonder. 13th generation. Everywhere the angel would take me. Because I saw in a dream, somebody carried me. Then we entered a desert. And the person introduced me and said he wants to see things that are fighting him. Then an old man held my hand. We started traveling like the speed of light. And every generation will show me, said, this is the first generation, second generation, third generation. Now, let me explain this thing about generations to most of you. Many of you seated here, the reason why you have to take these things I'm teaching serious. And in the first day, I told you the things I will teach you, it will save you 5 years from now. You may not see the relevance of what I'm teaching right now. But I tell you, 2 years later, watch this same video. You will thank God your pastor brought me. Watch it again. The problem about many of us is that when I started traveling and I was seeing the things and the wickedness, and I woke up, I say, hey, because you see, and the angel said to me, you are the first generation. That's why your battles are like that. And many of you seated here, even though your mothers have gray hair, they are first generation believers. And let me show you how the concept of first generation, second generation. Remember what the Bible said. It said the iniquities of thy fathers shall be on the third and the fourth generation. Now, what it simply means is that by the fourth generation, the curse must be broken. But it cannot break until it has got into the fourth generation. And I'll show you why. Now, the fourth generation there, by the time you get to the fifth generation, that person must be a believer. But some of you, let me give you an example. Your great-grandfather, who is the fourth generation, is not a believer. He's not born again. Your grandfather is not a believer. Your father is not a believer. You are the first one who is speaking in tongues. So automatically you are the first generation. So the battles you will fight, you have no idea. The battles becomes easier after the fourth generation of believers. And so some of you, your battles are the way they are because you are the first generation who has stood up his neck to say, me, I want to serve God. And so Satan will come at you with every battle, every arsenal he has, just to discourage you. The life of everything is in the blood. And if the life of everything is in the blood, it means that blood does not die. Blood, it doesn't die. Even after generation. Even Jesus. Why do you think that Jesus came to die for you? Because he loved to die for you? No. Jesus came to die and purchase you with his blood. Because blood has a voice. And blood speaks. That is why I said, until there is a sacrifice on the altar, the pattern in the family cannot stop. It cannot stop. The problem about many of us is that the church knows how to pray, but the church does not understand the concept of sacrifice. The church, when it comes to prayer, we pray though. There's a place in my country called Achimota Forest. If you want to hear all the sort of tongues, go there. You will hear Mitsubishi tongues. You will hear Suzuki tongues. You will hear all the tongues you want to hear in this world. Do you know the most broke people in every church are prayer warriors? They are the most broke. Because there are things that prayer can do, there are things prayer cannot do until sacrifice touches the altar. The battle you are fighting today, if they don't fight, if you don't confront it and raise altar sacrifice for them, your children will come and meet it. What provokes the altar is sacrifice. You can pray for 100 hours. If sacrifice does not go on the altar, it's only a matter of time. If you don't pay the price, you cannot take delivery. You know, people go to meetings. When prophets come, they raise money. Me, I'm not here to raise money. I'm here to tell you that if you don't pay a certain price, you cannot take delivery. I'm telling you. They tell you, oh, I want 10 people to give me $1,000. That's not what I'm here to do. I want to ask you a question. Think about it. How many of you are here? You can say that you have ever raised a memorial for God. That in the day of adversity, your children can use as a reference point. That is what I am talking about. That's the sacrifice I'm talking about. Where that one, your children are aware that our mother did this for the kingdom. Our father did this. Some of you are seated here well polished with your mascara and everything. Your parents, grandparents, very wicked. Yeah. Some of them, they took people's land. They took people's wives. They raped people. And that is the generation I came from. When the Lord took me 13th generation, I saw rape. I saw killings. I saw baby rituals. And the angel said to me, you see the background you're coming from. Then somebody will say, oh, but Pastor, what about the finished work of Jesus on the cross? Let me tell you. What Jesus came to do was to redeem man from sin. In the earth realm, there are legalities that operate here. Now, God can never do anything for you so long as you live in the earth realm without understanding. Because in this cosmos, there's a way and protocol of operation here. That is why God won't do nothing except somebody prays. And I'll give you an example. Remember the story about the body of Moses? You see, let me give you an example. I'll come to the body of Moses, but let me give you another example. You know, when Satan came to Jesus, tempted Jesus, and said to Jesus that, Jesus, 3 temptations. After he was led into the wilderness to fast 40 days, 40 nights, the Bible said, Satan came to him. The first thing he said, turn this stone to bread. And he said, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceed out of the mouth of God. He comes again and said, why don't you jump off the cliff? He said, no. Satan was quoting scripture. He said, he will give his angels charge over you. Why don't you jump? He said, thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God. Then he takes him again and shows him the kingdoms of this world. Now, the things that Satan was talking about were statements of facts. In case you don't know, I'm telling you. When Adam fell, the first man, when Adam fell, we all fell with him. And so the first coming of Jesus was to redeem man and reconcile man back to God. Get it right. Don't get it wrong. Don't get it twisted. In this cosmos, there are legalities. There are things, until you do them, you cannot live a successful life here. That's why you can choose to be here and live a poverty-stricken life, simple life, serve God till you die and go to heaven. But you see, when you go to heaven, you'll be shocked and you'll be confused because you will not be able to adjust. Because if you are poor here and you get to heaven, you don't know how to eat with cattle because you are poor. You don't know how to go to... You're not understanding what I'm saying. So before you get there, you must experience some of the things here. Am I speaking to somebody? You can decide to be poor and go to heaven. Nobody will blame you for it. But if you live in this cosmos, there are things you need to engage in and do. The body of Moses, the Bible said, Angel Michael was not just an ordinary angel. He was an archangel. He fought with the dragon, Lucifer himself, and overthrew him here on earth. But guess what? When it got to the body of Moses, because it was another jurisdiction, he couldn't until he said, the Lord rebukes you. In the earth realm, there are protocols that operate here. And if you want to be successful, one of them is what I'm teaching you. You know the problem about many of you? Some of you are stingy. Either because you had bad experience with other false prophets. But let me tell you, in this earth realm, if you don't understand sacrifice, you're not going anywhere. Your children will not be successful, I'm telling you. Because in the end game of this cosmos is about sacrifice. That's why check parents who give and support the kingdom, and they're always sacrificing. If you start, you see, there are some people, when you start a battle with them, you've lost before even the battle. Because what is backing them, you have no idea. There is something backing them. And the very day you decide to fight them, that is the very day you start falling. And they themselves don't even know because somebody has paid the price for them. I have a friend like that. He says in the company where he works, he doesn't know. Everybody likes him. Then I said to him, go and find out. When he went to find out, he realized that his great-grandfather was one of the Pentecost elders who brought Pentecost into Ghana and established it. So some of you, your parents may have paid the price, but some of you, your parents, they are very wicked. Some of them, they even complicated your problem by consulting shrines and consulting voodoo by complicating your problem, all in the quest of looking for answers. So if you don't do something about it, I'm telling you, so long as you live in the earth realm here, things will not go the way you want it. And you start confessing, delay is not denial. Delay is not denial. Delay is not denial. One day it will work. We have been waiting for the past 10 years. That one day is not coming. You have to do something about it. Tell somebody, do something about it. Oh, tell somebody, do something about it. Now, let me show you some principle. Let me show you some principle. There are 3 things that operate in every family, and I'll show you. There are 3 entities. One of them is witchcraft. In every family, there are 3 principalities that operate there. It's in my family, it's in Bishop's family, it's in every family. One of them is witchcraft. The second one is the ruler spirit. Now, the first one is the ruler spirit. The ruler spirit is what set the status quo in the family. That's the ruler spirit. Every family has a ruler spirit. The third one is the familiar spirit. And I will show you how they operate in every family. The ruler spirit sets the status quo. Nobody can go beyond this age. Nobody can prosper. Nobody can achieve this. Nobody can do this. Nobody can do that. Nobody can do this. Then suddenly you break protocol. The very status quo, you've broken it. You've done well. So the ruler spirit will summon a meeting. Immediately. What's your name, Mama? I can't hear you. Vicky. He said, in our family, nobody goes to America. How did she end up in America? Witchcraft, come here now. Familiar spirit, come here. So a meeting is summoned. And the ruler spirit will ask questions. Why is she in America? You know, that's not the pattern in this family. Nobody goes. The higher you can go is Togo, Cote d'Ivoire. Why is she in America? You see, I preached a sermon years ago, and I said, you can be in the limelight, but staying in the limelight is another thing. That's why people say, I used to. They talk like that. I used to. Read the scriptures very well. The Bible said Joshua the high priest, Satan was battling with him. And the question I was asking myself is that the high priest, Joshua, why is you Satan? Then the Bible goes further to say, because of a filthy garment. Anointed, but something was following him from his background. Filthy garment. So when the ruler spirit asked the question, then witchcraft will say, well, you know, I've written a whole book on witchcraft. It's one of the books I brought. I can teach you witchcraft for 6 months. I can even teach you how to identify one and how they smell. You can smell them from far. Witchcraft. And one thing you need to know about witches is that they are the most nicest people. Very nice. We have 3 kinds of witchcraft. The word witchcraft comes from the word witchcraft. It is the craft that makes them a witch or a wizard. When you take the craft out, they are very nice people. Very nice people. But you see, in the kingdom of darkness, witches are the least in the kingdom. Very least. And I call them executionists. They execute functions from demonic altars. So some of you are in America, but somebody is standing on an evil altar as a priest and is an enchanter, a diviner, and is speaking your name and saying things. So the ruler spirit has a priest. That is why in every family there is a priest. In case you don't know today, I'm telling you. Some of you call him Obushiapeni. Every family has a priest. And the priest's duty is to be in charge of the altar. Some of you, unless you don't hear annual festival, I'm going to festival. And some of you don't ask questions. You don't ask any question. You don't. They tell you there's a certain river in your family. Every year, all of you abroad must come and bath it. You've been going every year. You're a believer. You've never asked, why do we bath this water? Satan doesn't give anything for free. Everything Satan gives you comes with a price. So the ruler spirit will ask questions and will say, why is Vicky? The witchcraft will say, I need a ladder. I need something I can use to get to Vicky. That is where familiar spirit comes in. Do you know why they are called familiar spirit? As the English word familiar, they are familiar with you. They know you. They are the record keeper. So familiar spirit will now be assigned to bring records. And maybe years ago you did an abortion, but you didn't deal with it through deliverance. You slept with somebody's husband, you didn't deal with it. Because that's why I said, God doesn't bless a mess. You know, when I listen to motivational speakers, one day I sat in, those days I used to sit in Trotro. The guy who is selling 27 ways of being successful. If you look at the shirt and the shoe he's wearing, and yet he's telling me, I have a book, 27 ways to become rich. And the guy is broke as hell. So familiar spirit will start digging. What has she done we can use? What has she not dealt with? They dig and dig and dig and dig. And they go back. That is why I tell you that they tell you, motivational speakers will tell you, your past is not important. Who told you that? If any man be in Christ is a new creature, all things are passed away. Behold, new things. It's truth, but it is half truth. Your past is as important as your future. The only thing about your past is that you don't dwell in your past. You visit your past to learn from your past so that you don't repeat history. The reason why I can articulate myself in English is because in the past I went to KG, went to nursery, went to primary school, went to secondary school. So today, if I stand here and I'm preaching in English, it's because I learned how to speak English in the past. And some of you, the battles you are fighting is because something you did in the past. That is why I told you some of you have dreams. The Holy Ghost will just take you back to things you have done that you have even forgotten. I remember years ago, there was this woman who was very rich, and in her anger, the house help who was staying with her was having a menstrual cycle for the first time. She didn't know. And the woman, out of anger, made this house help drink her own menstrual anger. And she didn't know that when the girl, even though she was young, when she went to her room, started crying, she cursed the family. She had 4 daughters. All of them, at the age of 40, none of them were married. Until she came to one of our meetings. And I was preaching like this. She went back home after prayer. It was an all night. She had a dream, and the Holy Ghost reminded her. She had even forgotten where the problem was coming from. Some of you must remember the things you did. Somebody's husband you dated, somebody you swindled, a lady you promised to marry and you never married her. You thought that because you never married her, it was just like that. No, in her anger, in her room, she cursed you without knowing. Because she lost her virginity to you. And you promised her as a young man. Now you are in America, you are struggling. You don't know where the battle is coming from. A man you swindled years ago, you promised him to marry him, and because he didn't have money, you went ahead to marry another person. But in his pain and anger, he said things that are following you today. And some of these things, if the Holy Ghost doesn't show you, you will not even know where the battle is coming from. So the familiar spirit will start digging. Then they will remember the woman you promised and never married her. And familiar spirit will now bring the issue to witchcraft. Said, well, there's one lady who is still in pain. You promised to marry her about 20 years ago. You never use it against her. So you can see that you are a tongue speaking, but yet somebody comes in your dream, he's suffocating, you are calling Jesus, nothing happening. And you don't understand why. Because the Bible said at the mention of the name Jesus, every knee must bow and every tongue must confess. So why am I praying? And the more I pray, things are bad. Because there are legalities on this earth realm. If there were no legalities, Jesus would have come as a son of God from heaven. I am Jesus. I have come to save you people. Give me some, you guys bring me some cake. Let me start eating and preparing myself. But because there are legalities, he came through the right channel, through a woman. Because in the earth realm, things don't just happen. There are rules of engagement here. And until somebody shows you the way, I can tell you, you'll be here in a long while and wallowing in self-pity and nothing is working and you will not understand why. Go to Zechariah 3. I end on that scripture. Because today I'll be doing one-on-one deliverance. Zechariah 3, verse 1. Lama Sata. If you don't pay the price, you will not take delivery. I was preaching something like this. Somebody went into his account, empties his account, and said, Pastor, what is following me? My money in that account, which is barely $1,000. It can't help me. Take it, go and do God's work with it. Today, things about his life has changed. If you don't pay the price, you can't take delivery. It will only be an illusion. I want to ask you, what price have you paid? Some of you seated there, those of you watching me online, what can you boast about that your children can use as a point of reference to say, God, our mother did this for you, our father did this for you? It's all about you and your family and your children. This is my last scripture, then I close. Then he showed me Joshua, the high priest, standing before the angel of the Lord, and Satan standing at his right hand to oppose him. I want to ask a question. How can Satan oppose a high priest standing before the Lord? Can God be that powerless? That is when I came to a conclusion that there are things God can do for you and there are things God cannot do for you. There are things God will do. There are things God expects you to do. I have dealt with all sort of People. I've dealt with all sort of people. And one woman who was a witch that I dealt with, after her encounter with Jesus, she said to me, we Christians, you know our problem. We speak in tongues, we pray, make noise, pray, make noise. When it comes to sacrifice, then we switch. I can pray, but when it comes to giving, God should wait. God wait. That's why your life is like that. Because until you understand sacrifice, you can't take delivery. My sister, the iPhone 14 you are using, the price of it, give it to God, because I am telling you the truth. Until you pay the price, you can't take delivery. It's good to use a yam now and establish a good foundation for yourself. Because it is not of him that willeth, neither of him that runneth, but it is God who showeth mercy. It is the end that justifies, not the beginning. Let people mock you now and say you are using yam and you are giving your money to the kingdom. It is the end that will justify who is succeeding. When I used to do crazy giving, my cars, I've given about 2 cars to the kingdom. My wife used to have a problem. She said, also, yes, sir, don't do that. I mean, we are a young couple, we are starting. When she started seeing the evidence, now my wife doesn't argue with me. If I say we are giving 5,000 to do this, she said, oh, yes, I support it. Because she is seeing the evidence of what I'm talking about. She's seen it. So now she doesn't argue with me. Why are you giving this money? Why are you doing this for God? I said, no. I know where I'm coming from. Showed me Joshua the high priest standing before the angel of the Lord, and Satan standing at his right hand to oppose him. Today I prophesy, any power that is opposing you, you are coming out this afternoon in the name of Jesus. Somebody holla a big amen. To oppose him. Go to verse 2 for me. Verse 2. And the Lord said to Satan, the Lord rebukes you. And Satan, the Lord who has chosen Jerusalem, rebukes you. The Lord who has chosen Jerusalem rebukes you. Is this not a brand plucked from the fire? Go to verse 3. But do you know why Joshua was being fought? Can I have ushers give me some clothes? Please come. Get a cloth. Come. Give me one chair. I want to show you something. Oh, okay. The chair is not important. Just give me a cloth. Please come. Gentlemen, please come. Yeah. Sit here for me. This was Joshua. Believer, tongue speaking, Bible believing, loves God. And people don't know why. The guy is speaking in tongues but yet broke. Things are not working. Marriage is not working. Confusion. All the time they are fighting. Nothing is working. The guy loves God. He's a tongue speaker. Believer. Trusts God. But nothing is working. Ministry is not working. People are not coming. Frustrating him left, right, center. She's a good woman. But the man and she and the woman the man can't see eye to eye. Joshua the high priest. I was preaching like this. A young girl around 16, she burst into tears. I called her out and I asked her, what is the problem? I said, you are talking about me and my mother. I have been with my mother for 60 years as I was growing. My mother is a good woman. I don't know why when the men come, they can't stay. Now Joshua was clothed with a filthy garment, standing standing before the angel of God. So the question I ask myself is that, how can God just deliver Joshua? Can God just take away the filthy garment? That's why I said there are things God will do, there are things God will not do. He expects you to discover in order to recover. God is powerless until your eyes are open to certain spiritual truth. God is waiting to do battle for you. He's willing to fight, but you must empower him. And that is where knowledge comes in. There are certain things you can only come out because you see, your prophet is for your profit. The reason why men of God are there, the kind of work I do, I deal with people's destiny. I help you interpret the mind of God concerning your future. The guy is anointed, but you don't know why he's not doing well. Very anointed, but no, he's not doing well. Have you not seen recently one of my church members who is serving in Copenhagen? She came to see me to bless me. Then I asked her, she had removed her wedding ring, and I said, why? She said, I'm no more married. This is a true story. I said, why? Because the husband, they joined the church when they were already married. Then she said to me, Pastor, do you remember when we joined your church? About 10 years ago, you said, you called us out and you told us that this marriage is shaky and it will not last for the next 10 years if you don't pray. Then she started telling me the problem. I thought I could convince her, but man of God, by the time she told me the conditionalities and the things that are happening in the marriage, I couldn't do anything. What was her story? The man will chase anything in skirt. You know, there are people like that. The thing is like a spirit. Anything they see. So long as the thing is wearing a skirt, they don't care. Man, they will chase right now. To the point that she said her first posting she couldn't build because of that challenge. She couldn't do anything. Then she was posted to another country. She brought, the man doesn't come there. The man comes after every 6 months. The house help was this South American. You know, those people, they know the law. So when the husband started making advances and the rest, she went and sued, got over $70,000 out of her. One day she came to Ghana and sat the man down and said, listen, I realize this thing is a problem and you are not able. The man will cry. She will catch the man and say, I will divorce you. I don't want the marriage. The man will kneel down. Oh, please forgive me. I will not do it again. I'm sorry. I will not do it again. The next 2 days, he's chasing another thing. It's getting. So she realized that this thing is becoming a problem. So she sat the man down and said, you know something? I realize you have a problem. Now, this is what I want us to do. I'm a believer, but I think it's a problem and I'm not around. So you look for one girlfriend. Let me know her. Make sure. You see, when Satan repackages you, you accept everything. Yeah. You see, in life, what you don't confront, you accept it as a normality. What you tolerate, you accept it. So in some families, they'll say, oh, my grandfather had asthma. My father had asthma. It's normal. It's in the family. Because you have come to accept it. So she said to the man, baby, there are guns. I can't do anything. And you only visit me 6 months. So you look for one girlfriend. Let me get to know her. Let me know that she's the one you are sleeping with in my absence. This is a good woman. Oh. Hey, if my wife gives me that opportunity, hey, the way I'll be waiting for my wife, I say, hey, which woman wants to share? She sat this man down and said, let me at least know this one woman. Let her do checks. Because you see, she said anytime the man visited her, she'll be going to see gynae all the time. Problems. So she said, no, I can't continue that way. So you just look for one. Let's do medical check. Let's be sure she's okay. Let's give her good money so that we are sure that she doesn't sleep around, and we know that she's my rival, she's the one I'm dealing with. Then they agreed. Still. Until one day, she went for a house help who works like this, with the intention that this one, with a horrible face, so that this one, the woman will even pick calls. And on the text message, the man was sick for over 1 year. The woman came down from post, took care of him. And during that period, all sorts of messages. Please, can you come so that we fuck? Can you come and do this? The woman never packed her things and left. She never. She said, Pastor Gaba told us that this thing will happen, so I'm staying in it. What broke her heart and made her take a final decision to come out of the marriage was this one. One day they were there and the lady came with her family members. What is the problem? She was pregnant for the man. It was at that point she said, no. This one, no. No. I can't do this one. So she packed out. When she packed out and went back on post, within 1 year she had built a house. If you see the man, this is a man, fresh boy. And someone very intelligent, chartered accountant. But you see, the thing is not about school. Go and ask Clinton, he will tell you. It's not about school. When something is following a man, the thing is following him. His wife is the most prettiest, Miss Universe. Go and check the girl is chasing. Something is fighting him. Yeah. Joshua clothed with a filthy garment. And most of the time, the filthy garment is not coming from him. It's coming from his background. Standing before the angel of God. And until he does the battle to remove this filthy garment, he will keep struggling. He will keep fighting. And sometimes you are confused because this is a child of God. Don't speak in highly anointed. That's why some of you, don't you hear stories of men of God, you are shocked. You hear stories of men of God, you're not shocked. And the guy who come and mount pulpit is operating prophetic, doing everything normal. But something is fighting him. Go and check. In his room, he's crying all the time. Say, why? Why can't I stop this thing? It's bringing dishonor to me. Why can't I stop it? Some of your problem is anger. It has become like a pattern. Some of you are looking very nice with your mascara and pancake. If you get angry here, we can't control you. Yeah. Those days, I remember I used to visit the prison. Okay? I used to go to the prison to visit. I met one guy. Do you know what took him there? Egg. He had put his egg down and his junior brother came to take the egg and ate it. Out of anger, he took a knife, thrust the knife through the neck of the brother. By the time he came to himself, it was too late. He had killed his brother. Anger. I know of a true story. The guy was doing well and somebody angered him in the office. Then he wrote his resignation. Some of when you get angry, they can't control you. When you take a decision, pastor cannot do anything. I'm coming out of the marriage. I'm going. Oh, you take your time. No, I'm going. You're angry. Something is chasing you. Yeah. Anger. You do the thing before you realize that, hey, it's too late. What have I done? Anger has made a lot of people leave church A good church, that must be a blessing to them. Anger, because somebody spoke about them, somebody gossiped about them, somebody said something about them. I'm angry, I'm leaving the church. Only for them to go to the next church and realize that it is not angels who are there. And they can't come back because they are muddied the waters because they left. Anger. This guy wrote his resignation. He went to the manager. The manager saw the resignation and said, listen, I don't know what is happening, but I'll pretend I didn't see it. But I'll keep it. I'm giving you, he tendered the resignation on Thursday. The manager said, I'll give you till Monday. If by Monday you come and you still stand where you are standing, I will take it as received. I'm leaving. Nonsense. Nonsense work. People, you think that I can be here bullying me and doing nonsense. Nonsense. Monday he went. The manager said, have you changed your mind? He said, no. I have my certificate. I can go and look for a job anywhere. It's okay. At this time, 12, whatever, I wanted to know that your letter for resignation has been received. But however, I have a news for you. This is a new letter. But per law, it's no more in effect because you have resigned. I've received it. But let me still give you the benefit of the doubt. This is the letter that was coming from headquarters to you. He was supposed to be the new manager of a new branch bank. He was entitled to a house, a car, a maid, a butler, and other allowances. He lost it because of anger. Anger. And as some of you listening to me, watching me, you have lost precious things because of anger. Because you can't control your anger. There are people who are mothers, they have cursed their own children because of anger. Some are fathers, they've cursed their own sons because of anger. Go to verse 4 for me as I conclude. Reading from verse 4 to 6. And then he answered and spoke those who stood before him, saying, take away the filthy garment from him. Take away the filthy garment. Take away the filthy garment from him. And to him he said, see, I have removed your iniquity from you, and I will clothe you with a rich robe. Today I prophesy. By the time, listen, if you will follow every instruction I will give you, you will thank me that I came to this church, I'm telling you. I will not preach things I have not done myself. I was in Geneva 2 months ago. We are building. They blessed me good. When I got there, I called my PA, changed the money, gave everything to her. She stood there, froze for over 30 minutes, looking at me. As I use it to finish the building, to where we can get to. I couldn't even buy a pin for my wife. When I got there, my wife said, oh, also one to your mommy. I said, yes, see that I'm ready. She didn't talk. We are building for God. We are lifting a memorial for him. And when I started building, the Lord said to me, don't just build anything for me. Build it massive for me. Let it glorify me. There are things God would do. There are things God is depending on you. And I said, let them put a clean turban on his head. So they put a clean turban on his head, and they put a cloth on him, and the angel of the Lord stood by. The 6th where I end. Then the angel of the Lord admonished Joshua, saying, until the garment is removed, until the filthy garment is removed. I told you the battle we are fighting, it is generational. It's mothers, fathers, listen to me. Do certain things for your children, I beg you. If you have it, do it for them. Do it for them, I beg you. Some of us, if our parents have paid the price, will not be where we are. Me, I have suffered though. Hey, I paid my way through university. Paid my way to do my master's. Even now that I'm doing my PhD, I'm still paying. Some of us, if our fathers have laid a good pedestal for us, will not be where we are. Pay the price for your children. When I got my job, those days, you know, some of you went to good schools like Prempre College, Adisadel, and all this. And some of you, you went to schools that, so you speak Queen's English. Don't let my English now deceive you. It took me effort. Those days, when I speak English with you, hey, I did a friend left, right, center. Because I didn't go to a good school. Struggled my way. Today, my children, sometimes when I'm even speaking English, my first daughter, there's no book she will not read. And when I speak the English, she will correct me and say, Daddy, no. This is an adverb. This is a noun. Hey. Then she will explain. Then she will, I say, hey. Pay the price for your children. I'm telling you, pay the price for them. Or else, one day you will die and you'll be turning in your grave. Because what you didn't confront is still the same thing fighting them. You can go. Give the Lord a clap offering. As I conclude, patterns run through the bloodline, and patterns are transferred from the womb. Some of you, as you are seated here, I want to ask you, do you even know the meaning of your name? As you sit here, some of you don't even know the meaning of your name. You are called Agbavo. Have you found out the meaning of Agbavo? Huh? You see, ignorance is not a good thing. No? They call you patience. You see, patience is nice. But anytime something good is coming to you, you always have to be patient because your name is speaking. You have to be patient. So it comes to your promotion, they'll promote every other person. Patience. Sometimes we even choose Christian names we don't even understand. Mary. If the mother of Mary had an opportunity, she wouldn't have chosen that kind of life. I'm telling you. Today we celebrate her as the mother of Jesus. You think she enjoyed it? God impregnating her. For her going through all the humiliation. Then you see beautiful ladies called Linda. Belinda. The name looks nice. Go and check. They never get married. The ones who are lucky to get married, they get divorced. You have to check the meaning of your name. Your family name. Do you know the meaning of your family name? Some of you, do you know where even your umbilical cord is buried? Some of you, when they were dedicating, do you know who dedicated you? How was it done? Some of you, they name you after somebody. They said your uncle is your uncle, so they name you after your uncle. They name you after your auntie. And that auntie of yours never got married. They named you after her. Have you ever considered why you two is going that pattern? Because you were named after her. Tradition. Some of you follow patterns blindly. You don't ask questions. Why is this our culture this way? What's the meaning? Because you see, there's a difference between culture and tradition. Don't get it twisted. I'm somebody who promotes tourism. There's a difference between culture and tradition. They said this one is our tradition. Ask questions. Okay, this water we are drinking, where is it coming from? Why do we drink it? Oh, it's in our family. We drink it. They say it's a special water we have to drink. Every year we all have to come back and drink it. Satan will resist you until you take the filthy garment. Sometimes people go to burial services. They do all sort of consultations, other things. They must shave the woman. They must shave the man. They must do this. They must do that. And you never ask questions. Tradition. Today we are going to pray and I'm going to do one-on-one. Then I will give you a prophetic instruction. If you listen to it, it will help you. In my ministry, I don't force anybody to do something. Like how other prophets will come, they'll be forcing you. I need somebody. No. That's why I told you last time. I will not force you. And I don't dramatize it. No. If you listen to me, you will, I say everywhere I am in the world, you will testify. You will say, woman of God, thank you for bringing this man. Because whatever I'm teaching you, it things I have practiced myself and I've seen it work for me. I've seen it work. We're going to pray. If you are here and you have noticed untimely death in your family, today's meeting is for you. If you are here, you've noticed divorce in your family, this meeting is for you. Late marriages, chronic sickness. You go to the hospital, all the time you are sick, all the time you are sick. You are visiting the hospital as if you are going for a lecture for certificate. All the time you are seeing the doctor. Even if it's a lecture, by now you have graduated. And you realize also that in your family, there are patterns of people never completing projects. There's some families like that. 1 year, 1 block. 1 year, 1 block. 1 year, 1 block. I've been to see some people, they have 3 cars, living in a rented place. You've not seen people like that? They drive a Range Rover and they are living. This one, see, if you drive a Range Rover and you are in a rented apartment, you have a big problem. Something is chasing you. Because reasoning and wisdom should tell you that Range Rover can build a house and buy a house. So if you are driving Range Rover and you are staying in a rented apartment, something is wrong with you. Something doesn't want you to build. Something doesn't want you to build. If you come from a background where people get mad mysteriously, they smoke weed, they get mad. Then sometimes they call it multiple sclerosis. They have a nice name of giving it. Yeah. I know one guy like that. I was dealing with a case in Istanbul. The mother was a diplomat. The guy stood up one day and just stabbed himself and killed himself. Mad. Was on hard liquor and hard drugs until he died. Mad issues. Running through the blood. They behave madly. Some of you are sitting here, you are even mad. You don't even know. There are some backgrounds where there is poverty. They work so hard, but nothing to show. They work like elephant, but they eat like an ant. They are very hardworking. If it's hardworking, they can work hard. Some of you have been to this country. There's no job you have not done. You've done 3-4 jobs. 3-4 jobs. Even in fact, your waist is not even normal again. You have been working like this because you have been working, but nothing to show for it. Poverty. Delay is also as a result of altars. Nothing comes easily for you. The things people do and they get away with it easily for you, it will take years and months before you can do it. Disappointment. People promise you and they disappoint you. They promise you, they disappoint you. They promise you, they disappoint you. Hardship and struggle. Underachievement. You always achieve below belt. Pattern of losses. You acquire, then you lose it. You acquire, then you lose it. There are some, they marry, children become issue, they can't get pregnant. They'll go from one gynae to another, they can't get pregnant. Some, they labor and their labor is never appreciated. I tell people all the time, sometimes people condemn prostitutes. At least they are bold enough to stand on the street. What about you who has dated 10 men for the past 1 year? Are you still not a prostitute? But your own is refined because you are not standing on the road. You and that person, you're not different though. You, 1 year, you've dated 10. They've all slept with you. At least the one who is standing by the road has courage enough to stand there. Your own is called repackaging. Package prostitution. Some get sick. All the time they are sick. Some, they distribute children. I told you I was in London. Met one woman, grandmother. She has 7 with different men. Everybody has his own father. The daughter also has 5 with different men. There are families like that. They distribute children to men. When you come, they'll just open their legs, give you a child. You to come and carry your own. And the men are very irresponsible. There are some families like that. The women are very hardworking. The men are very lazy. Very lazy. And the men that they marry are lazy men. It runs through the family. People dying at strange age. I know a family like that. By 40, they must go. 40, you must go. 40, you must go. Let me tell you this story, then we end. There was this, one of our church members. She realized that this thing was a pattern. So at the age of 40, she had a strange illness. And they rushed her to the hospital. When they got to the hospital, where she was lying at critical care. Critical care. So, let's assume she went Wednesday. Wednesday, the bed, let's assume that this is the bed. The first person at the far corner died Wednesday. Then Thursday, the next one died. So we're doing Friday all night, and with her drip and everything, I saw the lady run to us, the service. I said, but I thought you were sick and you were in the hospital. What are you doing here? He said, Osofo, where? Should I be the one to wait until I also die? No. I come so that you pray for me. I don't want to die. She's still alive though. So I am telling you, ladies and gentlemen, you have been seeing sudden death in your family. It is not normal. You see, the older ones are living and the younger ones are the ones dying. Gone too soon. Sudden death. No, that is not the will of God.